Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me. And I still have a little bit of sinus, whatever heck this is, allergies going on. So I do apologize. Put in a mute button in right now. So if I have to sneeze or I have to cough, I'm going to use that mute button. So you guys might hear a little bit drop in volume. Okay. Just so you guys are aware, obviously we have Marathon to talk about. They're setting up operations in Paraguay. We also have Bitdeer providing their production update along with DMG, Energy, who also have it here, Riot also. And then we also have to take a look at Bitfarms production update for, not production update, their Q3 numbers, sorry. So it's going to be a long video. Grab some popcorn. We're going to have the chapters down below for you guys as always. And as always, you guys know this drill. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research and invest in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. Also, if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And then towards the end of the video, we'll also take a look at how Bitcoin did today, which did pretty good. Miners were lagging, right? So it kind of goes with my thesis of miners are going to lag until after the halving event, possibly. All right, so let's get into it here. Let's start with Marathon on the first screen here. So Marathon Digital Holdings continues international expansion with 100% renewable powered Bitcoin mining project in Paraguay. Paraguay comes to mind because Bitfarms is already there, right? They have, I think, 2 facilities that they're setting up over there as well. So it's interesting to see that Marathon's getting into that as well. But here's what we do have. So Marathon has launched its second international deployment with a 27 megawatt Bitcoin mining project in Paraguay that is completely powered by renewable hydro energy. The first miners are on site and currently being prepared for installation and energization. All right, so on October 16th, 2023, Marathon entered into agreement with Penguin Infrastructure Holdings, whose mission is to transform energy into human potential in Paraguay to launch a Bitcoin mining project near Paraguay's Itaipu Dam. Itaipu Dam has an installed generation capacity of 14 gigawatts and is the second largest hydroelectric dam in the world by annual production. So I mean, that's might be a lot of surplus there, which might be good. This project, which is structured as a joint venture, will be built out in 2 stages. The interesting part is they didn't provide what the percentages are in the joint venture. Is Marathon getting more than 50%? Are they getting less than that? Will this be reported basically on as revenue? If it's over 50%, it should be reported as revenue. If it's under 50%, then it gets reported as assets. Okay. The first stage will utilize approximately 7 megawatts to power approximately 0.3 exahash or 300 petahash. They could have said it that way. Marathon's miners and is expected to be energized in November. So we're in November now, so that's kind of interesting. And then the second phase will utilize approximately 20 megawatts to power approximately 0.8 exahash of Marathon's miners and is expected to come online in 2024. Over the coming months, Marathon will be working with Penguin Group to bring the full 1.1 exahash online. So that is interesting there as well. So kind of interesting to see Marathon kind of broadening out. They're in Abu Dhabi now. They're also obviously now in Paraguay. They're in the United States, as we know. But it's interesting to see that they are growing internationally, which is kind of nice to see. Okay. So that was it for it, I think. Yes, it was. Okay. So let's take a look at our first operational update here from Bitdeer. Bitdeer announces October 2023 production updates. And here's what we have. There's a lot of stuff in here as far as what they're saying. You guys can read over this. I'm not going to get into it too much. There's nothing really new and exciting that we haven't heard already. What we're really interested in is the operational updates for October here. So self-mining was still at 7.2 exahash. They generated 462 Bitcoin from that. Cloud hash rate was 1.5. Hosting 12.5. So a total of 21.2 exahash under management right now. And let me see if there's anything else. I think that's it. That's all I highlighted here. So that's all we got for them. Let's take a look at my numbers here on the spreadsheet. We'll go over it and we'll get into the next one. So Bitdeer right now has about 111 million shares outstanding. Stock price is at 330. It's obviously been beaten down quite a bit here over the last 12 to 14 weeks or so. It's as you can see on the chart here. Market cap is at 422 million right now. 12 weeks ago, if you bought 12 weeks ago, it's down 70%. As you bought 8 weeks ago, it's down 69%. And then 4 weeks ago, it's down 11%. And last week, it had a pretty good week. It was up 5.56. The reason it's down so much is because the basically lockup period for early investors basically has finally expired, and they were able to sell their shares, and that's why the stock was being down quite tremendously. Okay. Current hash rate is 7.2 exahash. This is only for their self-mining. We also have future hash rate of 7.6, so they're pretty close to being fully operational based on what's being reported as being bought. Their production here has peaked in September with 482. They came down a little bit here in October with 462 Bitcoin. That is to be expected because the network hash rate went up like 9% or something like that in October compared to September. So that's always going to decrease production unless you're actually growing at 9% of your hash rate over month. Okay, month-over-month BTC mined here comparison. You can see how that's changed. They pretty much sell everything, I'm guessing, because they don't report on HODL or anything like that. BTC per exahash has been coming down, which is normal. It went up a little bit here in September, went down a little bit here in October, but that's normal because the network hash rate is going up as well. BTC sold, how much they've been selling, pretty much whatever they mined. Hash rate, you can see that they are now at 7.2 exahash for the last 3 months. Their revenue here has been going up, which is nice to see. They're at 13.67 for self-mining, which is great to see. Plus, they also have all the other stuff that they do as well, which adds to their bottom line as well, but that's kind of hard to track how much they get for that. Hash rate difference month over month, BTC sold value, how much they sold, pretty much whatever they mined. Last 4 quarters revenue, we only have two quarters of data right now because they went public this year. So we'll talk about that when they do report their quarterly results. When we look at, let me see here, down here, institutions. So institutions did increase quite nicely here to 26 from 17. Shares also increased to 8.9 million from 6.7, so that's good. Percentage owned also went up to 14 from 10.6 or almost 10.7, so that's good. We still have only 2 buy ratings for them, and price targets stay the same at $20 for the high, the average at $18.50, and the low at $17 right now. So that's kind of in line with where we have, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. As far as how many days they were operational, based on my calculations here, it looks like they were operational for about 30.39 days in October. That got us to the 13.671 million based on the Bitcoin average price in October times the Bitcoin mined. That's how we get this number here. And we've been pretty close on that historically, within 5%. I try to be within 5% of what they actually report for them. And for anybody else, if I'm way lower than that, all the better. Going back up here, looking at my numbers here, we're looking at the previous, well, with them, it's kind of hard because we only have the previous really. Now let's take a look at it here. If we look at their quarterly results, what do we have here for them? Yeah, we only have the 3, maybe 4 quarters now. We got 2021, well, all of 2021 numbers, so that doesn't really help us. 22, we got only Q1 numbers, Q2, and then we'll get Q3 numbers as well. We're looking at, let's see, probably the last 3 quarters of numbers right now on them. So based on that, I think that's what we're doing, right? Let me take a look at it. Yeah, March, June, and then September is an estimate number. Current quarter revenue is the one that's ending in December. And we have them at approximately $12.04 to $18.07. They're currently at $3.80. Definitely way undervalued in my opinion. They were beaten down, like I said, because of the lockup term has ended. And, insiders were selling to get rich. Okay, let me see here. Going forward, if you use the October numbers for revenue, multiply that times the 5 months before the halving event and then the 7 months after the halving event at 50%, we got them at $14.69 to $22, which is still better than where it was here. It kind of coincides with where institutions are looking at them. All right, so that's it for them. They're obviously pretty big here with the self-mining and the hosting and everything else. They're around 21 exahash. So definitely a big player in the space. We'll see how the stock responds going forward, if they're able to kind of bounce back on the price. But definitely, in my opinion, right now, undervalued. I don't know much information as far as how much they're going to be growing into the halving event. The only thing that we have here on the miners is, well, we got the hosting part of things. June update, they announced something there. But other than that, it's kind of been quiet as far as them buying any miners or anything like that. Okay? So let me know down in the comments is what you guys are thinking about them. And let's get into the next one. So the next one's going to be on DMG. This is going to be short and sweet. So DMG Blockchain Solutions announces October mining results. And here it is. 1 sentence, or 2 sentences. DMG mined 59.2 Bitcoin with 0.87 exahash realized hash rate. DMG's Bitcoin balance as of October 31st, 2023 was 462 Bitcoin. Okay. Let's see here. They're saying also that DMG exited October with just over 1 exahash of realized hash rate. They're saying it represents a 50% increase versus the September quarter. We'll have to take a look at that. That seems pretty high that they were, I don't think they were that, well, they were around 800, so maybe. Okay, we'll take a look at that when they do report on their quarterly results here. But I have them higher for some reason. I think they reported they're at 1.2 exahash prior month or something like that. They maybe dipped back down, but I have them at 1.2. So let's take a look at the numbers that I do have for them. And eventually I'll get there. But based on what I had here, they're currently with shares outstanding 167 million. Stock price is at 26 cents. Market cap is at 44 million. They've done all right in the last 12 weeks. They're up 8% from 12 weeks ago, 24, almost 25% from 8 weeks ago. From 4 weeks ago, they're up 50%, which is really good. And well, they were beaten down, so I can see why they were, kind of bought up a little bit here. They were just way beaten down. And then they're up last week 10% again. So pretty good driving in the last couple of weeks here, in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Okay. Current hash rate, I have them at 1.2. Future hash rate supposed to be like 1.23, something like that, based on what they reported as far as being purchased. You can see that their BTC production has been coming down ever since December of last year. They bottomed out in July at 45.7, and they have been increasing that ever since, which is good to see as well. Month over month difference here, BTC HODL has been coming down as well. BTC per BTC exahash efficiency up a little bit here to 49.3, still below where I think the normal or the top of the tier miners are going to be around 60 something exahash per BTC. BTC sold, how much they've been selling each month here. They did sell obviously more this month than they did mine. Same thing for last month. So that's kind of interesting to see that their Bitcoin HODL is coming down. We'll see if they continue to do that, or if they're going to start stacking HODL a little bit. Let's see here. Hash rate, like I said, since September. So September, they must have put out something where I thought they were at 1.2 exahash already on that one. And value, I think, so revenue has been increasing ever since August, which they bottomed out at 1.3 million. It's now at 1.75 million. So that's good. And then the hash rate difference month over month. You can see that BTC sold value, how much they've been selling each month as well. And then obviously the quarterly results, we'll take a look at that when they do report it. Institutions did increase here a little bit to 8 from 7, and then shares increased to 1.45 million from 1.39, so that's good. Percentage went up to 0.86% from 0.83, but we still have the same 1 strong buy rating, 1 buy rating, 0 hold, 0 underperform, 0 sell. High price target is at 73 cents, average is at 48 cents, and the low is at 23 cents. So those all stay the same right now. For the month of October, I had them mining. Let's see here. Actually, did I add any miners? No, I did not add any miners. But I had them running at about 23 days out of the month. But that's at 1.2 exahash. So if they're actually around 900 petahash or something like that, it'd be much higher than this. But it's hard to figure with them sometimes. Because, like I said, for some reason I had 1.2 in September already. So I'll have to look back on my numbers and maybe correct that going forward. Okay, so based on that information that we do have here, looking at the current quarter that we're in, which is obviously the quarter ending December, last 3 quarters, which is Q3, Q2, and Q1. Q1 and Q2 are actual numbers. Q3 is estimated still because they haven't provided that number. We're looking at 31 cents to 46 cents, somewhere around there. I think would be a fair value for them. If we look forward the next 12 months, obviously Bitcoin staying the same price, hash rate, network hash rate staying the same, everything staying the same, they would be around 22 cents to 33 cents come that time, if that was the case. Okay. I think that's it. Obviously, they're one of the smallest one of the 2 smallest mines that we are tracking here right now. Maybe 3. Well, Sphere is going to get a little bit higher than that. So, I mean, it's like top of, well, yeah. Let me rephrase it. They are one of the smaller miners here that I track among the 3 or 4 that are pretty low, below 2 exahash. So they do really need to grow. Their balance sheet isn't too bad. They have a strong total current assets of almost 20 million, and their total current liabilities is pretty low, 3.5 million as of Q2 for us, which ended obviously in June. So we'll see how Q3 comes in on that one. Okay, but let me know what you guys think of this one. But that's kind of where I see them right now. And then the next one is going to be on Iris Energy. So Iris Energy announces monthly investor update for October 2023. And here's what we got. A bunch of nice little pictures here from them. And here's what we really want to see. So average operating hash rate. And I got to say, I really hate when they report average operating hash rate. I want to know what's installed, what is actually running, or what's supposed to be running, not the average that you were running, because that's changing from month to month. I want to know what's installed. That makes it a little bit more tough, and then I have to add figures to them, but I'll show you guys in the spreadsheet here. Bitcoin mine was 376. Electricity cost per Bitcoin, 15.6 thousand, looks like, and that has been going up for everybody because the network hash rate has been increasing as well. As the network hash rate increases, the cost will increase as well to mine a single Bitcoin. Okay, so that's it for that one. Let's take a look at the numbers that I do have for them, and let's see where's Iris here. And here we go. So Iris has 66.7 million shares outstanding. Currently, we'll find out when they update at the end of this year, because they don't provide quarterly results, they provide biannual results. But their market cap right now is at 222 million. Their performance has been kind of bleak here in the last 12 weeks. So they're down 20% from 12 weeks ago. They're down 22% from 8 weeks ago. They're up 14.8% from 4 weeks ago, and then they're up 9.06% from 1 week ago. So the last 4 or 5 weeks have been better than the last 12 weeks. So had you bought back then, you might be down still based on that information. Current hash rate is 5.7. Their future hash rate that's been bought for is at 7.1 right now. They're saying they're going to get to about 9.4, I believe, but they haven't bought the machines yet to get them to that point. So I'm reporting what has been bought. They can hodl, they don't hodl anything. And then you can see here that their BTC production peaked in May with 508. Ever since then, it has been coming down, and that is a result of network hash rate increases and their hash rate not keeping pace with it. Okay, month over month here, BTC hodl, they don't hodl anything. Bitcoin per exahash efficiency, 65.96, pretty efficient. They're usually within the top 3, top 4 miners as far as efficiency is concerned here. BTC sold, how much they've been selling, they sell everything. Hash rate, you can see that hash rate has basically flat-lined a little bit. I mean, they're up a little bit here to 5.7 at the end of October. But overall, a slight increase of about 200 petahash over the last, 6 months, roughly. So it has been climbing, but it has been climbing really slowly, which is why the BTC mined numbers have been coming down. Bitcoin revenue, they peaked in May, like I said, for mining Bitcoin, and for revenue also at 13.97. They've been kind of up and down here over the couple months, but coming down here through September, and then they're up here in October with Bitcoin price going up. That actually is helping a lot of miners here as well. So that's good to see. Hash rate difference month over month, BTC sold value, they sell everything, so you can see that. We'll get into their, it's not really going to be quarterly results, it's going to be their biannual results when they do report it. I wish they would report quarterly. It would make things so much easier to track them, to calculate them better, instead of using the 6 months results that we get. Okay. And forgive me here, I gotta blow my nose here really quick. Okay, I'm back. Let's see here. What do we got here? Okay, we're going down here. Take a look at institutions. Institutions did increase to 63 from 61, so that's good. Shares actually went down, so that's surprising there, to 16.9 million from 17.5, so roughly 600,000 shares were sold. It looks like in percentage owned went down to 26.37 from 27.3. We still have, however, the same 2 strong buy ratings, 4 buy ratings, 1 hold rating, but the price targets actually came down quite a bit here. So they came down to $14 for the high from 24. The average went down to $9.36 from $11.50, and the low went down to $6.50 from $8 basically. Okay, and then so that's interesting there that they are getting, well, dropping the price targets on them. And then looking at the numbers for October here, we can see that they were mining pretty much for 31 days, and I had to add 84,000 because of the 5 point. I had to, well, they reported, what did they report? 5.571 exahash. I bumped them up to 5.7, and even that at that point does not give me the full amount. So they might be even higher than that. They might be like a 5.8 in order for that to work out to the numbers that they should be getting. So those are mining at 31 days. And yeah, like I said, I wish they would provide the actual numbers of the installed base that they have that should be operating, and not the average. It would make things a lot easier. So just little things here and there that kind of can irk somebody. Okay, so there's that one. And then looking at the numbers here, looking at the current quarter that we're in, obviously in Q4 and the last 3 quarters prior to that, we're looking at a stock price between $13.15 to $19.73. If we look forward, again, the 5 months before the halving event and 7 months after the halving event, we're looking at $10.63 to $15.95, and that might be what the analysts are kind of looking at there as well, right? Now, depending on the growth that they have, how much they grow before the halving event, all of that, and where Bitcoin might possibly go. So that might be pretty close to that, but even for the highs, kind of like my lower end here, 13, they got 14, and then the low is obviously much lower than mine is, but that's kind of where I have them right now. All right, let me know what you guys think of that. I do think they're obviously a really good miner. They need to grow. They do have plans to get to like 30 exahash, but we don't know when that's going to be. We know that they purchased 1.4 exahash of miners, I believe, if my memory recalls me correctly, and then they have not really said anything that they're going to buy anything as of yet. They're going to buy something, but they haven't reported it yet. Okay, and then next is Riot here. So Riot announces October 2023 production update and operations update. There are some kind of little interesting tidbits here as well. So Bitcoin mined was 458. It is up from last month, which is good. Bitcoin held also increased a little bit here to 7,345. They sold 440 Bitcoin this month. Their deployed hash rate now is 11.7. I had them for last month at 10.7, I believe. somewhere around there. And then down here, let me see here. So there's a quote here from them. Our total hash rate also increased thanks to continued progress in repairs to one of our immersion buildings, Building G. All of the replacement dry coolers for Building G have now been received, and hash rate there will increase as our team completes installation of the remaining dry coolers during November. So this is actually good news. I mean, that's been pretty much a year that they've waited for those stupid dry coolers to get in and get installed. They have installed some, I believe it was a month or two ago, and then obviously they got the rest of it right now. So that's good news there. Estimated hash rate growth also. So in June 2023, Riot entered into a long-term purchase agreement with MicroBT, which included an initial order of 33,280 Bitcoin miners for its Corsicana facility. This initial order has recently been updated to replace approximately 6,000 MicroBT M56S++ miners with approximately 6,000 MicroBT M66 miners. Upon full deployment of this initial order by mid-2024, Riot's total self-mining hash rate capacity is expected to reach around 20.2 exahash. So that was kind of good there. Again, the newer miners, and those are, I believe, 280 terahash miners with like 5,570 some watts, something like that. We'll look at it in my spreadsheet here. And I think that's it here. Let's see here. Yep, that is it. Okay, so let's take a look at the numbers that I do have for them, and then we'll get into Bitfarms quarterly report. So Riot is way over here. There we go. So Riot right now has about 185 million shares outstanding. Stock price is at $11 as of today. Market cap at $2 billion. Their performance over the last 12 weeks hasn't been bad. It's been kind of average here. They're up 2.9% from 12 weeks ago, up 5.8% from 8 weeks ago, up 24.5% from 4 weeks ago, and then last week they were actually up nicely, 19.39%. So had you bought back then, you'd be pretty much up right now for the most part. Again, current hash rate 11.7, future hash rate about 20.4 exahash, which coincides with what they reported. Right? They said, what did they say? 20 going into it. Where's it going to be? 20.2. Okay, so I have them at 20.4. Not too far off. BTC production here has been up and down. It's been a roller coaster with them because they do curtail quite a bit during the warm months and in the wintertime sometimes as well, depending on how cold it gets down in Texas. Okay. But the production has been coming down here. It basically bottomed out in August at 333, and they've been going up ever since then, which is nice to see. Also, there's something else I wanted to point out to you guys, which I didn't point out. Sorry. You know how they had in August like 33 million in power credits? Well, you can see here that in September, they only had 11 million of power credits and then 1 million in power credits in October. So, I mean, it's huge swings there. So it's hard to calculate how much they're actually going to be getting for power credits and how to properly value them and things like that. So it's always tough. So always take that into account here when we look over my numbers, because it doesn't include the power credits in there as well. Okay, because those can have huge swings. Okay, so we're talking about BTC month-over-month difference as well. HODL has been increasing here nicely. So last year they had 6,825. They increased the HODL by about, what is that going to be, 500 or so, roughly Bitcoins in the year. And then BTC per exahash efficiency bottomed in August, but has been coming back up for a little bit. They're still curtailing quite a bit here. We'll take a look at the numbers down below. BTC sold each month. They have been selling consistently for pretty much over the past year, and they sold the least in August as well, which is kind of surprising. But yeah, they've been selling obviously the whole time. Hash rate, they were at 10.5 as of March, and that stayed through May. Then June they got up to 10.7, stayed there through September. Now they're 11.7 roughly as they reported. So that's good that they're still growing. And that they are going to be getting to 20 exahash sometime possibly next year. We'll see. Revenue also peaked here in May with 18.59 million. That big drop in June, 12.7 million. Then that dropped down to a low of August of 9.27 million. But now we're back up to 13.55 million, which is great. But remember, the power credits always can make their profits much better than some of the other miners. Hash rate difference, you can see here how much they increased hash rate over each month. BTC sold each value for the month. Last 4 quarters revenue, we'll take a look at when they report. They did report, or at least put out a press conference of their Q3 report, but I did not see it on the SEC website yet. So I'm looking for the actual numbers, the tables and all that stuff to pull the numbers into that. So we'll probably talk about that tomorrow when I do get this updated. Okay, coming down here. Institutions-wise, we can see that the institutions did increase quite nicely to 361 from 348. Shares increased only about 700,000 here to 72.9 million from 72.2 million. And then percentage actually went down here to 36.74 5, which leads me to believe is based on dilution of shares. That I think they did report in the quarterly report they put out that they did dilute. Did they dilute? I believe they did. I'll have to take a look at it again. I may be confusing it with Bitfarms. I was looking at both today, so let me get that wrong. But we still have 3 strong buy ratings, 7 buy ratings, 0 hold, 1 underperform rating now, which is interesting, and 0 sells. Price target actually went down a little bit here to 22 from 23, and the average went down to 16.23 from $19.59, and then the low is now at $7.50 compared to before at $16. So that's also interesting that they have basically received a lower rating by somebody from somebody that probably put an underperforming rating on them. Okay, here's what we have as far as the miners for them. I did install some miners here this month in October. Which ones did I install here? If I remember, right there. So I installed these 140 terahash miners. That got us to the 11.7, and then I think we installed something else here as well on top. Did I not? I did not. Okay. Yep. So that's all we got there. And they were running for about 18.5 days. The new miners that were installed were running for about 17.88 days. That got us to the 13.553 million in revenue, as would be the average Bitcoin price for October. Okay. Now, based on all that, we're looking at here that they will be looking at the current quarter that we're in, Q4, plus the 3 quarters prior, with Q3 being still an estimate right now. I'm in between $9.07 to $13.60. They're at $11.07. I think they're pretty fairly valued. Now, if we go forward 12 months, 5 months before the halving event, 7 months after the halving event at 50%, we're looking at $6.22 to $9.33. But I believe their revenue should go up in value as we get into the colder months here, where they're going to be curtailing less. And then obviously you have to also take into account the credits that they receive, meaning that their gross profits might be actually better than some of the other miners because they can apply those credits to the electrical bills going into the next month and things like that. Okay, so right now I think they're fairly valued, but if you include the credits, then they might be undervalued. Okay, otherwise, no complaints here from me. They've been doing a fantastic job growing, building out everything else. Man, no really qualms from you. Like I've said before, they're definitely like one of the top 3, top 5 miners out there, including Marathon, CleanSpark. They're in there, obviously, in the top 3, I would think, along with, and then if you include the top 5, you're probably looking at maybe Iris, some other ones like Bitdeer or Bitfarms in there, depending on how they're producing and things like that. All right, so that's it for that one. Let me know what you guys think of this one, and then let's get into Bitfarms shirt. I'm going to take a sip of my water here because my throat is going to die on me here shortly. So let's take a look at that. We'll pull Bitfarms up here. Let me take a sip, and we'll get back right into it. So hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for the dead noise there. So Bitfarms reports third quarter 2023 results. You guys can really read over this. I'm just going to go over the important parts of it here. Financial highlights. So total revenue of 35 million compared to 35 million in Q2. They were pretty close. They're averaging up actually on this one in Q3 compared to Q2. Gross mining profit as gross mining margin of 13 million and 38% respectively compared to 14 million and 42% in Q2. And that's based on mainly because I think the electricity costs went up, right? Well, network hash rate went up, so that's the way I'm thinking about it. But correct me if I'm wrong on that one. General and administrative expenses of 8 million, including non-cash share-based compensation of 2 million, down 9% from Q2. So that's actually good there. That's what I want to see, is people trimming the fat, getting rid of employees that they don't need. I mean, I know that they're publicly traded companies, so they need to have a lot of these people in place. But man, they got to trim a lot of fat, and that's not just for them; it's for everybody in the industry. Net loss of 19 million or 7 cents per basic and diluted share, compared to 25 million or 10 cents per basic share and diluted share. So that's a beat there, or an improvement. So that's good there. Non-IFRS adjusted EBITDA of 7 million or 20% of revenue compared to 8 million or 22% of revenue in Q2. So that's a little bit lower there. And then earned 1,172 BTC at an average direct product cost or cost per BTC of 16,900 compared to 15,700 in Q2 2023. And that could be attributable to, obviously, Bitcoin network hash rate going up. Okay. And then total cash, including general administrative expenses per BTC, were 22.7 thousand in Q3, up from the 21.8, and that could be obviously again to the network hash rate, contributed to that. Okay, let's take a look at the numbers that I do have for them. We'll go over some of the charts as well, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on this, what I think. And here we go. So actually, we're just going to get right into it here. Well, I updated the number of shares outstanding, so they have right now 258 million shares as of, I believe this is as of today. Did I do this right? Did I update that part of it? Let's take a look. Okay, I did not. So it's 277 million shares. Let me update that. Good thing I double checked. So there's a lot of places I have to update. I mean, we got tens of thousands of data points in here, and it can be sometimes I can miss something. So that's why I like to double check. All right, so we have 277 million shares outstanding as of today. Stock price $1.17. That gives them a market cap of 324 million right now. So that's how things shake up there. Going down here to the quarterly results. So last 4 quarters revenue, they were at Q4, 25.94 million. Q1 of this year at 30.05 million. Q2 was 35.48 million. Obviously Q3 down a little bit here, not much though, down just a bit. And then obviously the current quarter that we're in, estimated is at 38.82. Could be much higher depending where Bitcoin goes within the next basically month and December. Okay, so that could obviously have a bigger impact on it than we may think so. All right, let me see what's down here. So I actually had them at 32.85, and to figure out how I was off by that much, and then if we look at it, what is that, 32? Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes out to be. So they might have sold at more opportune times than I have them saying at the average. So if they sold every day, they would kind of average out. But they might have sold at better times, so they hold it for a little bit while Bitcoin price was going up or something like that. So that's interesting. So we're off by a little bit, by 5%. It's kind of where I want to be. Within 5% is my goal. I'm off by 5.04%, so that's not too bad. Definitely at the higher point where I want to be. I want to be like right around there, 1%, 2% off on it, or even better at like 0.01 if I can get there. Okay, looking down at their production numbers here, or quarterly financials. We'll get into these numbers here in a second. And current assets. So we'll just go over the main points here. Total current assets actually increased to 83.7 million from 72, so that's great to see. Total assets also increased a little bit here to 33.2 million from 325 million, so that's good. Total current liabilities went down to 29.6 million from 37 million, so that's great. I love seeing that they are paying off their debt. You can see last year in Q1 of 2022, they had 142 million in debt, total current liabilities. So that's definitely a great job paying that stuff down before the halving event. Total liabilities now is at 45 million. It was at 179 million in Q1 of 2022. Stockholder equity and total liabilities and stockholder equity is at 332. So that's up a little bit as well. And then revenues, obviously, we're down a little bit here, and that's based on Bitcoin network hash rate going up, them mining a little bit less, and maybe they just sold at less opportune times their Bitcoin. Okay. Self-mining, that's for that one. Energy infrastructure was up a little bit here to 20 million compared to 19.9, which was pretty close still. Depreciation, I don't care about that one. Purchase of electrical components was up to 890,000 from 620. Electrician salaries actually was down to 409,000 from 455, so that's good there. And then cost of revenue and all that stuff you can see here. Gross profit minus depreciation was 37% instead of 42% here in Q2. What else do we have here? Selling general and administrative was down to 8.3 from 9.1, so that's great. Love seeing that. Cutting the fat. Salaries was down, not much, but it was down, what is that, roughly 100,000, but still down. Professional services was up a little bit here. Insurance and duties and other was down, so that's good. Travel, motor was up. Hosting and telecommunications was down, so that's good. Advertising was down, so that's good there. I don't know why they're advertising in the beginning. Advertising, I guess you could say for like swag, t-shirts, shirts, mugs, things like that. That could be as advertising. Let's see, what else do we have here? Operating loss was only 18 million here instead of the 25 million, so that's good. Net income before taxes was negative 18 instead of negative 24. So that's good. Net loss income was 18 million negative instead of 24. So that's good there. And then total comprehensive income was negative 19 instead of 24. So that's good there. So they're progressing in the right direction, I think. And then if we look at we'll look at the charts up top here in a minute. But here's what we have. BTC mined, we obviously know what they mined. Starting hash rate, ending hash rate, average hash rate, all of that. Custom mine 1 BTC. Minus depreciation is what I really like to look at is 17,000 for them, at least what I'm getting. They're saying, I think they're saying the same thing. What was it, 17? 16.9, so we're pretty close to that. Debt to equity, obviously lower is better. That has come down. Current ratio higher is better. That's come up, so that's good. Then you got obviously book to value, price to book value, enterprise value, beta, and then EV over beta. So you got all those numbers here. You guys can take a look at it here. General and administrative compensation is down to 8.3, so it's only 24% of their revenue, which is good because it was much higher here, obviously, prior quarters, which is, I'd like to see that under 20% if at all possible. Okay, so that's it. And then if we look at the actual charts here, you can see cost per Bitcoin minus depreciation has been coming up, and that is based on the Bitcoin network hash rate going up. Okay, Bitcoin mined quarterly has been coming down. That's why we're seeing the higher cost. Debt to equity lowers better. We talked about this, so I like seeing this coming down, this going up. That's a good trend to have. Total current assets is now much higher than where it was in Q2, so that's great. And then obviously total current liabilities is down as well. That's been trending down, which is fantastic to see. So overall, I think they're doing all the right things. They're diversifying. They're getting into other countries, other continents, getting things going there, which is fantastic. They just got to grow like everybody else before the halving event, and then we'll obviously see where they end up next year. But they definitely need to buy more miners, continue to grow, continue to expand as much as they can. And then their miners that they do have here, let me see here. I mean, they got a pretty good fleet here. The only ones that I would get rid of are obviously the 89, which I think we already did here. Yep, we already did get rid of those in October. So I think they're getting rid of those as well. And then they're obviously getting some much better miners as well going forward. And they got to continue to do that going forward as well. All right, so that's it. So as always, this is available to my Patreon members. That's still only $5 there. The link is in the description down below for that. If you guys want to join, and you guys will get updates every time I do any kind of updates after a video, I will get this up to the Patreon members there. We also have a private Discord channel there as well. That's a lot of fun there. We have some interesting people in there as well with a lot of knowledge that are fantastic. So I highly recommend you guys signing up if you can for $5 a month. I mean, I don't think you can find a better deal in the world on that. All right, so that is it. Let me know what you guys thought of all of this. We'll cover whatever happens tomorrow. Right, more than likely we'll have the quarterly results out. We'll cover that, and then we'll see what else we get as far as updates. I think we're only missing a couple more updates here from a couple of the guys here. So if we look at it here by comparison, we can see here that we're still missing. Who are we missing here? Mawson, the usual suspect, and Sphere 3D, Stronghold are the usual suspects that we're always missing towards the end of the month. So once we get those in, we will do basically top miners for October. Then once we get all the quarterly results, we'll look at all the miners as well on a bunch of KPIs and metrics and things like that. So that'll be interesting as well. Okay, I think that is it. I think that's everything I want to talk about, other than hoping you guys have a great night. So I do appreciate you guys watching very much. Thank you to all the members here on YouTube, all the Patreon members as well. You guys have been the best, and I'm just having fun. So we're getting started. Having's happening next year. It's going to be a fun time. All right, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, bye.